Hello everyone, welcome to today's story. What will happen when the ex-mother-in-law suddenly shows up, carrying both regret and hidden intentions? Will Lytuna, the woman who has struggled to build a new life with her child, be shaken by the voice of the past urging her to return? And when CEO Alex learns of this visit, how will his heart respond? With calm protection or burning doubt? This is not just a story of love and survival, but also of choices. Between forgiveness and dignity, between shadows of the past and fragile hopes of the present. Stay with me until the very end of the video to uncover the full truth. And don't forget to hit subscribe. Let's reach 1,000 followers together and continue bringing you more unforgettable, dramatic stories like this one. So, will Lytuna give in to her ex-mother-in-law's persuasion, or will she stand firm in the life she has chosen? Let's begin. The house was wrapped in a stillness broken only by the soft rhythm of baby Henry's breathing. In the warm light of late afternoon, his grandmother cradled him, her voice a gentle stream of praise. He ate well, he slept well, he was good. Around her, the modest room carried the smell of milk, soap, and the faint earthy scent of the farm that waited outside. When Lytuna and Alex finally returned, the hour was late. The grandmother, though smiling, could not hide her worry. "Where have you been? Why so long?" she asked, her tone more protective than accusing. Lytuna lowered her gaze, murmuring about errands in the city. Alex stood quietly beside her, a subtle presence, his hands betraying a hint of unease. The grandmother turned her attention back to Henry, stroking his cheek as he stirred. She described every detail of his day, how she fed him, bathed him, lulled him to sleep, her words layering the room with a sense of steadfast care. Her eyes lingered on her daughter with a softness that said, more than any scolding could, "You are not alone, even in your weariness." Henry's small fingers reached out in his sleep, brushing against Lytuna's arm as if to remind her of the fragile bond tying them all together. The farm still demanded attention. The night was creeping closer, but in that suspended moment, the family existed in rare harmony. Outside, the fields darkened into quiet shadows. Inside, the baby's calm became the center of everything, a promise, a reason to endure. And though no one spoke it aloud, each of them understood. Peace was not permanent, but it is precious. The night air was cool when Lytuna returned to the small farmhouse. Lantern light flickered against the wooden walls, painting her shadow long and restless. She sat by the crib, watching Henry's chest rise and fall, the soft rhythm of his sleep both a comfort and a chain. In that silence, Alex's voice echoed in her memory, the words he had spoken earlier, his eyes steady yet vulnerable. "From now on, I will care, worry, and love you and your child." Her heart had hesitated at first, like a bird caught between branches. The scars of the past were not easily erased, and yet something in Alex's sincerity disarmed her defenses. That evening, she had whispered her answer, a quiet agreement to be his girlfriend. His face had lit up, a joy so raw it startled her, as if he had been waiting lifetimes for that single word. Now, alone with the stillness, Lytuna pressed a hand against her chest. Love, she thought, was not always born from fireworks or grand gestures. Sometimes it came like this, in the small moments of care, in the gentle persistence of someone who refused to let her drown in old sorrows. And yet, fear lingered at the edge of her joy. Could happiness truly last? or would the past claw its way back to steal it? Alex's laughter from earlier, soft, almost boyish, lingered in her ears. She let herself smile, even as unease threaded through her thoughts. In this fragile beginning, love felt both like a dawn breaking and a storm waiting. Morning light spilled across the farm, gilding the rows of grass with gold. Yet for Lytuna, the brightness carried little warmth. She stood by the empty wood workshop, its silence pressing against her chest like a heavy hand. Once alive with labor, now it sat barren, machines gathering dust, investments turning into shadows of loss. Her voice broke softly as she spoke on the phone with Mr. Duong, pleading for someone to rent it, to keep her from drowning in debt. Each unanswered promise deepened the quiet ache behind her eyes. Meanwhile, Alex was far from the farmhouse, his steps measured as he met Adam at a cafe. Their words circled around numbers, quantities, and the weight of fruit. Grapefruits, thousands of them, shining with the promise of profit, became the subject of their careful exchange. Adam tasted, judged, bargained. Alex responded with calm assurance, though beneath his composure lay the urgency of responsibility. The orchard's success was not just his livelihood, but also the fragile bridge to a future he hoped to build with Lytuna. Back at the farm, Lytuna bent to scatter feed for the chickens, her hands moving out of habit more than will. Each small chore, feeding the fish, tidying the house, was a quiet battle against despair. Her child slept peacefully inside, unaware of the storm curling at the edges of his mother's heart. Life pressed on relentlessly, the demands of survival, the weight of expectation. Even as love began to bloom, reality stood firm, reminding them both that affection alone could not silence hunger or debt. Between love and livelihood, choices loomed like unspoken tests. The knock at the door was hesitant yet heavy with intent. Lytuna's breath caught as she opened it, and there she stood, her former mother-in-law, eyes weary, voice trembling with the weight of years. "Lytuna," she said, "I have wronged you. Let me see my grandchild." The words hung in the air, fragile and piercing. At first, Lytuna's body stiffened, her heart recoiling. Memories surged, the night she was driven away, pregnant and helpless, her pleas silenced by coldness. That past rose now like a tide, threatening to drag her under. She shook her head, her voice sharp, trembling. "There is no grandchild here for you." But the older woman persisted, her hands clasped, her face etched with sorrow. She spoke of Huang An in prison, of loneliness, of regret gnawing at her bones. Each plea was a thorn pressed against Lytuna's chest. Finally, with a voice laced in steel and exhaustion, Lytuna relented. "He is asleep. You may look, but nothing more." Together they stepped into the dimly lit room. The baby lay peaceful, a small universe of innocence untouched by the bitterness surrounding him. The grandmother's eyes welled as she gazed at him, whispering apologies into the silence. Her hands twitched, yearning to hold him, but Lytuna's stance was unyielding. "Only look," she warned. The room felt suspended between forgiveness and rejection, love and betrayal. Lytuna's heart beat fast, torn between the ache of old wounds and the fragile peace she had built. The past had returned, uninvited, and its shadow stretched long across the fragile present. The silence did not last. The ex-mother-in-law's gaze shifted from the baby's sleeping face to Lytuna's. Her voice, once trembling with guilt, grew sharper, layered with a desperate urgency. "Tuna," she began, "why not come back? Huang An may be in prison, but he is still your husband. A family should not be broken. Think of the child. He deserves his father." The words struck like stones, dredging up wounds Tuna had tried to bury. Her hands clenched at her sides, her breath trembling with restrained anger. "When I needed family, you turned me away. You knew I carried his child, yet you closed the door. And now you ask me to return?" Her voice wavered between fury and pain, a storm long contained. The older woman faltered, tears streaking her cheeks. "I was wrong, blind in pride, but time has punished me enough. All I have left is my grandchild, and you. Don't let bitterness ruin us all." She reached out as if to bridge the distance, but Tuna stepped back, shielding her son with her very body. In that charged air, the weight of choice pressed heavily. The promise of reconciliation dangled like a poisoned fruit, tempting, familiar, yet filled with the taste of betrayal. Tuna's heart screamed for peace, but her soul knew the truth. To return would be to erase her hard-won dignity, to chain herself again to a love that had already broken her. She turned away, her voice trembling but resolute. "That life is behind me. I will not go back." The sun was sinking, painting the farm in a muted gold as Alex arrived. He found Tuna sitting by the doorway, her hands folded tightly in her lap, her eyes distant as though she were staring at something only she could see. "Tuna," he said softly, crouching beside her, "what troubles you?" Her lips parted, then closed again. For a long moment, only the chorus of evening crickets filled the silence. Finally, she whispered, "This morning, my ex-mother-in-law came." Alex's expression sharpened, his voice low but urgent. "She came here? What did she want?" Tuna swallowed, her breath unsteady. "She begged to see Henry, and then she tried to persuade me to return to Huang An." The name fell heavy, like a stone cast into still water. Alex's jaw tightened, but he did not speak, his silence heavier than words. "I didn't let her," Tuna continued, her eyes glistening. "I couldn't. Not after everything, but her words." She trailed off, her voice breaking. "They made me doubt. Am I cruel for denying her, or weak for letting her see him?" Alex reached for her hand, his touch firm, grounding. "You are neither cruel nor weak," he said, his voice steady, carrying the weight of unshaken conviction. "You are protecting your child and yourself. That is strength." The night deepened around them, and Tuna leaned her head against his shoulder. For the first time all day, her heart slowed its frantic rhythm. Yet inside, the echo of her ex-mother-in-law's plea lingered, like a ghost refusing to leave. The farmhouse was quiet again, but the stillness carried the echo of earlier turmoil. Tuna sat beside Henry's crib, watching him stir in sleep, his tiny fists curling and uncurling like fragile blossoms. In the hush of the night, her thoughts swirled, her ex-mother-in-law's tearful plea, Alex's steady reassurance, the weight of her own decision. Outside, the wind brushed through the trees, whispering like a voice from the past. For a fleeting moment, she imagined surrendering to it, returning, erasing the years of hurt, pretending wounds had never been carved. But the thought was fleeting, dissolving as quickly as it came. She had chosen her path, a path of dignity and survival, even if it meant walking against the pull of tradition and expectation. When Alex returned the next day, His steps carried both determination and tenderness. He cradled Henry with a smile, whispering to the baby as though he were making promises to both mother and child. Watching him, Lytuna felt a quiet warmth bloom, fragile yet undeniable. Alex was not the past trying to reclaim her. He was the present, steady as the soil beneath her feet. Still, she knew shadows would linger. Love was never without fear, never without ghosts. But as dawn broke, spilling soft light into the room, Lytuna realized that life was not about choosing between past and present. It was about daring to step forward, even when both called her back. In the stillness, she whispered to herself, almost like a prayer, "I will not go back. My future begins here."
Câu chuyện xoay quanh tử neo người mẹ đơn thân đang nuôi con nhỏ sau bị gia đình chồng cũ ruồng bỏ. Cô gặp gỡ Alex, người dành tình cảm chân thành che chở cho hai mẹ con mỗi ngày. Mẹ chồng cũ bất ngờ tìm đến vừa hối lỗi vừa tha thiết được gặp lại cháu, thậm chí thuyết phục tử neo quay lại với chồng cũ, người hiện đang ở tù. Cuộc đối thoại đầy nước mắt lẩn tránh móc nài nỉ khiến tử neo rơi vào giằng xé giữa quá khứ và đầy tổn thương. Hiện tại bình yên dù dao động, cô kiên quyết từ chối quay về. Khi tâm sự với Alex, anh trấn an và khẳng định sẽ bảo vệ hai mẹ con. Tử neo hiểu rằng hạnh phúc của mình phải do mình chọn lựa.